Okay, back at the hill again, and it's been a wild week, I tell you what. You don't know what tooth pain feels like. I'm sure some people out there do, but I had that tooth taken out right in there because I broke it somehow. I shattered it in half, and so it was exposing the root, so they had to take it out. And I'll tell you what, you know, I've had a lot of pain in my life, but tooth pain is just the most horrendous. And so I hadn't slept in a couple nights, and you know, I was able, you know, through prayer to kind of bring the pain down to a somewhat tolerable level. But you know, I don't know, I'm not big on trying to dope my body up with a bunch of toxins unless I have to. So I tried to bear out the most of it without taking a lot of stuff. But it's better today finally. But man, I'll tell you what, I don't know why tooth pain has to be so aggressive. But anyway, that was going on, and I finally got over this whole allergy deal that was happening, the belief in allergies, whatever that was. It's been a lot better. So yeah, anyway, it's about I don't know, what is it, 4 days? I think if you want to get involved, there's about 4 days. The link is below. You can get in the 30-day prosperity clinic if that's your thing. And it's got some bonuses that are pretty extraordinary. And yeah, that's about it. I mean, I don't know where we'll go with this talk today, but I just kind of wanted to get back in the groove. I went skating yesterday, and I did some low intensity stuff, but I think I made the mistake when I had this taken out. I went to deadlift right away, and I think I set back my healing a little bit, and my face got kind of swollen for a couple days. So yeah, back in the normal routine. That's what I want, you know. Allergies gone, tooth gone, you know, kids back in school. We got so much stuff going on now that really it's important to prioritize from the top down. When you got a busy life, you really have to, well, what I found is if you keep your thought on God more, then you have more capacity to handle more, because you'll enter flow state, and then you'll get 800% plus more efficiency in what you do. So let's say I sit down and I'll write a course outline probably this weekend for the Prosperity Clinic, at least for week 1. And as I do that, you know, I'll spend a good few hours laying out the mechanics of how we're going to move through this. I got to make it efficient, because I got like 500 other things that I got to do. And that's like your life, you're busy. So you really want to prioritize this at the top of your list. That's why you should do the clinic, because if you can be 800% more effective at everything you do, well, that just means that you'll have so much more peace and joy and harmony in everything that you are doing. Because it's not struggle and it's not strain. It's just downstream joy. It's It's really how it's supposed to be. And you can accomplish more in a day than most people accomplish in a month. You know, I remember years ago, there was something that came up, and we were going through, sorry, my nose is running a little bit. We were going through the transition of a business, and I was thinking, well, if I don't do something, then we're going to have a gap of income because one was going to shut down and we didn't have another one. And I remember it took me 2 months. 2 months. I developed a whole business from point A to point Z, and I'm talking everything, in a complex one too, with product formulation, design, labeling, branding, website, marketing. I mean, everything was set up. And if you don't know product development, this wasn't just white label products. This was custom products where I was doing M states, you know, the Monatomic, gold, silver, iridium, ruthenium, which I'm a big fan of. And they're very hard to access in the best form these days. But you can make them with your own blender if you know how. You can use our minerals with complete essentials. Hint, hint, they have fulvic acid. And you can spin them in a magnetic vortex and it releases single atoms, monoatomics. And what that does is that's what feeds the light body, all right? All the way back to the ancient Egyptian scripts, you know, the hieroglyphs and all these, they knew this stuff. They were big on that because that's your connectivity to the divine mind. So when you ingest Monatomics, it not only, especially Monatomic Gold, was proven at the Alpha Learning Institute in Switzerland. Professor Adams, I believe his name was, Sean Adams. He's got the 6th highest IQ in the world. You know, you can read a book in 30 minutes and memorize virtually every word of it. And they study this stuff. Well, they found that if you use Monatomic Gold, within 2 seconds of it, saliva touching the saliva of your tongue, it puts you into the whole brain awareness. So it puts you into, like, essentially flow state by proxy. So you don't have to focus, you know, on breathing and meditation. You can achieve what monks spend years to do in seconds. Pretty useful shortcut. Well, I was on that stuff for years and years and years. So you can see, this is why I can do flow state at will, because what happens is you use this stuff to train yourself, all right? So what I'm doing here, and I guess where we're going with this transmission, is that I'm going to give you, whether you attend this workshop or not, what I just gave you is in essence a cheat code for a workshop that you should probably pay attention to. Because if you do it right, and I'll be teaching in the workshop how to do it right. I don't have the time to take you through all of it here. I will advise you not to do it haphazardly and to really know what you're doing before you get involved, because if you can ingest certain monatomics and they can put you into a lucid state, and what happens is you got to be very careful and cautious when you do this, because you speed up your ascension process and you cram in your life lessons in a short period of time. And what that can look like is it can look like a tragedy. So whatever processing things that you're working through, you can put those into your now at such a haste that it can cause a severe disruption in your natural equilibrium, okay? And you can literally, I've seen some people, it looks like they're in a psychosis for quite a long time because they don't know really what they're doing, and they're playing around with essentially what I'm going to tell you it is it's the Ark of the Covenant, all right? Now remember, the Ark of the Covenant was all about if you got within a certain proximity of that Ark, it would kill all the mortals, okay? Now, that's what happens with Ascension in general. You know, you're here to kill the mortal version of yourself and ascend into the spiritual I am presence, into the Christ consciousness. That's great. And you're on your own journey and your own speed. But this idea of the Ark of the Covenant, well, the use of Monatomics was very prevalent back then. And if you start to use Monatomics, you can speed up your process where you can cast off the mortal a lot quicker than you are going to feel comfortable doing. And that's kind of, unfortunately, my first experience into this was like absolute mayhem. I mean, I got into this and I started ascending so fast. I was having, paranormal experiences were left and right. I'd leave my keys in one location, I'd find them in another. One time I went to the gas station and I parked my car. So literally I had to have the keys to get to the gas station. And you're not going to believe this, but this is what happened. See, you can bilocate and you can go through wormholes and portals, and all these things are accessible at the highest degree of consciousness. And your mind is not ready for this yet because you haven't built up any training for it. And so what happened was I pull into the gas station, I get out, and I can't find my keys. I swear to you, I looked everywhere. I looked in the car, I looked everywhere. I was like, oh, where's my keys? I got done pumping the gas. I opened the door, there's no keys. There's no keys in my pocket. I'm like, so I had to call Sabrina. She had to come get me. And then I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't have the keys. We're going to have to just go find the backup set of keys, and I'm going to have to go back and get my car at the gas station. And so we get home, and we're living in the country, on County Road C in Spring Green, by Spring Green. And I'm walking in the field, kind of like a field like this, and I look about 25 to 30 feet, and I see a set of keys on the grass. So I walk over, and I pick up the keys, and there's my keys to the car. Those are the same keys that I took to the gas station. Now that sounds like an absolute lunatic saying that, and they'll put you in a white jacket if you start telling stories like this. But I'm going to tell you that if you speed up your ascension process too quickly, this kind of stuff can start happening to you because you are operating outside of natural law now. You're starting to operate in the spiritual domain of infinite possibility and ultimately tapping into alternative reality constructs within yourself. And you can go in and out of dimensions so quickly that it really is a trip. Like literally, they call going on a mind bender a trip. Well, you will go on a trip if you do this the wrong way. But what I discovered is through the work of Ken Rolla, how to use the magnetic stir and create them out of fulvic, volcanic ash, etc., and extract these monatomics naturally. It allows the heightened, focused awareness. And with that focused awareness, it goes at a processing speed that you can assimilate and tolerate without throwing yourself into the madness. It's really madness. You can't handle the truth, really. Like, if you knew the truth of being, that you are that multidimensional, that you are in multiple realities all at once, when you start accessing those other realities, it becomes kind of a lucid experience that doesn't stop. Have you ever had a lucid dream? Well, you start to realize that you are in a lucid dream right now. Like, you literally are, no matter which way you look at it. You're dreaming in the five senses, Adam. But what's happening is the Monatomics give you the sense of certainty that you are multidimensional. It's not a theory anymore. It's like going up in a plane and skydiving becomes real. It's not just, hey, that'd be interesting to jump out of a plane. It's like, hey, I just threw you out of the plane. Deal with it. That's what it's like. So if you want to get thrown out of the plane without an instructor, that's what it's like having monatomic use if it's not done properly and it's not done at a speed you can handle. And guess what? You might hit the ground, and that's what it feels like. It felt like that for me. You literally leave your body. So I was able to literally leave my body, and that is trippy. And I'm not just saying that figuratively, and I'm not saying that to try to impress you. I'm saying that as a cautionary tale, because you start leaving your body and you're going to realize that A, you're not the body, but B, you're going to realize the fear of having no attachments to anything, because if you can leave the body, it means that everything you think you know is not true anymore, including all of your belongings, your family, your friends, your identity. Your identity dies. And if your identity dies, the mind itself throws off a panic signal, okay? And that panic signal isn't just the quick 30 seconds of adrenaline that a normal panic attack is, where you have, 17 seconds of adrenaline dump and you have time to calm yourself back down. What you have is you have a mind that has no time, space, location, and it's in a state of ultimate chaos. It has no reference points anymore. Okay, so just fair warning. But I'll show you guys how I've been doing it, and the reason to do it is training wheels. See, if you can teach yourself how to access these states and to know that they're real, okay, first of all, you know from experience the reality of them. And second of all, you begin to memorize the sequence of unlocking these states, and then it becomes dominant. See, what they discovered at the Alpha Learning Institute is that not only did the use of monatomic gold have an immediate effect, but it also had an accumulative effect. So, because I used them for years and years, it's my dominant state now. I can go put the head scanner on, the brainwave meters, and I'm usually right in the whole brain, okay, between left and right balanced, all right? So, essentially, you can re-educate your fear-dominant left brain to balance over to the right side and live in the flow state. But ultimately, you can descend even deeper, and you can ride the cusp of theta, and you can go into those places where that actually is the lucid. So if you occupy the theta brainwave, which is what I did in the last transmission, in case you didn't notice, but I look very sleepy and I'm very much ready to go to sleep, that's theta. And you can put yourself into that state, keep yourself in that state, and the reason for doing it is because the world becomes lucid. So it's not really as physical as you think. It's more like the dream, where you know you're dreaming, but you have control over the dream because you're semi-awake in the dream, okay? So you can take that semi-awake state of dreaming, bring it into the now, when you're actually supposed to be awake. At a funeral of the dead, that's what awake is. Okay, you're walking amongst the dead, because imagination is the reality. You become much more imaginative. You become right brain dominant. And with that right brain dominance comes the quantum computing system. And it begins to give you moment by moment guidance. Okay, it has its own GPS built for you to instruct you back to the Father's house, back to the wholeness of spirit. And that is your protection. That's why you want to do this, because you can train yourself out of the adultery that you have been captive into by the so-called education, indoctrination, slave camps that you went to, where they reward you for the heavy use of memory recall and the concepts of outer conditioning. They're laughing at you in your face. They have you cover one eye, the all-seeing eye, and they have you read the board and tell you what you see. And if you can't see outside of yourself, then they punish you and say you don't have good vision. They're lying to you, because human eyes don't see anything. The mind sees all. See, they mock you at every turn. These are the rulers. And the rulers control the outer archons, the outer aeons. And so your purpose And your mission, if you're on the spiritual special forces path, which you probably are if you're watching this, is your mission is to walk right out of Egypt and to be the light in the world. And you, by doing so, will raise the consciousness of the entire, 10 mile, even 100 mile, even global radius around you. See, one master occupying a state of deficiency can bring about a ripple in the consciousness like waves that affects every single mortal, so-called mortal, in the construct. And that's why you become the most dangerous person because you are Neo in the Matrix. And so the new Neo Matrix movie Resurrections is coming out in Christmas time, right? So watch for the parallels in that movie. Just remember this conversation I'm having with you right now. I know things before they happen because God knows all, and I listen, and God tells all to those who listen. So watch for the concepts that I'm sharing with you to be dramatized in the movie The Matrix, Resurrections. I am the resurrection and the life in this reality. Because you'll find them. And it's just validation that you're on the right path. So I'm going to teach this stuff in the class. I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to show you what I would use, what I do use. And I don't use it all the time anymore because I use everything as a teacher. All right? That's why people get in trouble with drugs. I mean, they sit around and smoke dope all day, or they do something because it gives them a temporary sense of freedom. Well, the idea here is that anything that becomes a sense of freedom, but you're bound to that thing, becomes another form of prison. So you really want to just take the lesson, use it yourself. And I feel the same way even about Monatomics, because they do have an accumulative effect. And I think it only takes a short season to retrain your consciousness to live whole-brained. And if you're in the whole brain, your process of learning is so much quicker. I know when I put my awareness on learning something, I can grasp things probably 100 times quicker than when I was younger and I was becoming adulterated because everyone around me in school was being taught that, repeating the answers that were given to them was the way to solve problems. Okay, in other words, regurgitating nonsense was the way to go in life. And I started to believe in that. But ultimately, if you read my book, Trust, the Most Powerful Force in the Universe, I begin by teaching about the secret of the sperm. And I tell you that I gave that all up and started daydreaming and falling asleep in class again. And all my dreams started coming true because I realized that they were trying to make me a left brain idiot. I didn't know that it was the left brain back then. I didn't know, but I knew what I felt. And it felt like anxiety. It felt like fear. It felt like burdens that I couldn't carry, prodigal son. So they were trying to make me prodigal. And by the blessing of my own intuitive knowing that I never gave up and forfeited to them, I did what I knew I was supposed to do, which was go in, give them the thumbs up, put my head down, and go to daydream. And you see, you could say, well, that didn't get you very far, did it? Because these educated idiots, man, they just make me laugh. I remember all these perfect goody two-shoes in class, right? And I'm not saying you shouldn't be a good person, but I'm saying all these kiss butts that went to class, and they all tried to look good amongst everyone else by memorizing the most hogwash, I mean, I look at their lives and their lives are so boring. And I think I'd rather die than live their life, to be honest with you, because they're not in the mystery. They have to calculate their next bowel movement. They have to schedule in their next, dinner night. Like, they literally have no flexibility. And that's the left brain. The left brain is not spontaneous. Okay? And the universe is all about spontaneity. Because in real time, the construct shifts. So what are you going to do with all your best laid plans when you're reasoning from a multiverse, and guess what? You changed frequency, you're not in the same universe anymore. You see the error? You see the best minds, the tip of the iceberg. They think they know everything. And they make all these plans. But see, what happens is, and the sorcerers at the top, they have to create the frequency in the collective to carry out their plans, because without that, they can't do it. And if the frequency in the collective raises too high, it throws off their plans and throws it back upon themselves, which is what's happening in the world right now. And they already lost. So, unfortunately for them, their chance to repent has already been gone. So, they got nothing left to lose because they're damned to hell to begin with, because they've already given up their opportunity to turn to the light. So theirs is not the book of life. So the people that are, engaging with the non-local mind of sorcery, the serpent, they already signed their name into the permanent abolishment of their own soul. So the only appropriate response you should have for them is pity, okay? And gratefulness that you're not them. So don't be angry at those who sin, because they know not what they do. They have no concept that power on this planet is no power at all, because this planet is one of millions of planets in a multiverse, and it's all governed by sowing and reaping, cause, consequence, and frequency. And the only thing you have is grace at the end of the day. A true spiritual master recognizes that you only have free will, and it's by grace that all good things happen. It's not because you're it. You're not it at all. God is it. Grace gives you all. All right, so this workshop's going to be an exercise in grace. It's going to be an exercise where I'm going to guide you through how to live in the whole brain, how to condition yourself for a permanent shift in consciousness where the kingdom is closer to you than a friend. Not just because the Bible said so, but because you live in it, in your awareness. So that's it. I think you're going to be really grateful if you do it. The admission price is $333, and I'm not going to allow anybody late into the class, so if you're going to do it, and I'm not going to replay it, and maybe I'll do it again, maybe I won't. I don't need to do it again, because the opportunity's here. It's now. I don't want to repeat myself. I don't want to go on a journey that God told me to go on and have to revisit the same journey. So if you feel any inclination that you want to do it, then now's the time. Just do it. And you know what? If you find that it's not for you and you find that it doesn't work, well, then slap yourself in the face and realize that that's just your ego trying to talk you out of success. All right? You thought I was going to say you can have a refund. No, you cannot have a refund. That mentality is the mentality of entitlement. When you go all in on something, you have to burn the bridge behind you. You have to say, look, one idea can give me a whole new source of meaning in life. If I get just one idea from this guy, if I'm willing to bet on this guy that he has at least one idea, then this 333 means nothing to me, because that one idea gives me all the advantages. But if you don't believe that I can teach you that, then don't. Because I probably can't. Because if you don't believe that you're being led to this, then it's not for you. You have to follow your own guidance. So please don't let me bear an argument to your reasoning capacity that makes you do something that you don't feel inclined to do. By all means, it's best if you avoid it, because then we both don't have to suffer the fallout. But if you feel, you know what, I should just do this, then what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? You're waiting for the world to get better is what you're waiting for. It's caused you to become paralyzed in your thinking. And that's exactly where they want you. Because let me tell you a secret. Not only are you paralyzed, you're also descending down. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the very fact that you stopped moving when the current is actually still moving means you're pushing against the current. And the current of life is going to move you one way or the other. If it can't move you downstream joyfully, then what it does is you crack, okay, like an oak in a strong wind, okay? You think you're standing firm, but you're going to crack. And when you crack, then you'll be moved. And so, in my perspective, I move flexibly. And that's where that spontaneity comes in, you see? And the only way you know how to use spontaneity to your advantage, moment by moment, okay, recalculation of where you are in time and space, because you have to recalculate moment by moment. You can't set a plan and think that your plans are going to go without some form of disruption. You have to be flexible. And so if you can learn to live in the flexibility while holding the intention of a guided plan, then you'll achieve your mission. That's the formula to achieve your mission. It's to be single-mindedness of focus, laser eyes on where you want to go, but flexible in each moment to adapt, to reinvent, okay, and to improvise. If you can't improvise, it's not going to work. And you know how you improvise? By tapping into the greater part of yourself. And I'm going to do my best to show you how to learn to master your habitual entry into that consciousness, because it is a consciousness. The only reason I can tell you is because I've done it. All right? I can't teach you how to do anything I haven't done, because that's insanity. But because I've done it, and because I know how to do it, and I can do it at will in seconds, I can give you the steps. I can't make you do them. I can't give you the discipline to actually deal with the daily habits, but I can give you the daily habit. And then I can encourage you and inspire you. You know, I can pull out Aladdin's lamp, and I can show you how I can draw upon it, and then I can show you how you draw upon it, but you're gonna have to rub the lamp. So, this is the last call. This is the last video I make before the class starts. So, class starts by the time you see this, in 4 days. Nobody that's late will be able to participate. So, join or don't join, and that's okay. Either choice is correct. But if you're gonna join, then you've got about 72 hours, and then the deadline's cut. Bonuses are gone, everything's gone. You can still do the live workshop as long as you register before October 15th. That's a higher price, but unfortunately the bonuses don't come included. You can do the Bashar bonus, absolutely, but you don't get to do the 30-day, okay? So if you want the whole enchilada, you can do the full package, okay? It's the $9.97, and you get all of it, the live, plus the simulated, plus the bonuses. If your budget's too tight, you can't travel, whatever, you got the $333 option, and you can do that one. All right? And all of it is a donation. It's a faith seed that you're sowing to Allow Ministries. So you should wrap your faith around it, and you should expect increase. Look, as a minister, I pray over everyone's seeds. And I also use God's money discerningly what He wants me to do. All right? So I know God doesn't need me driving a Lamborghini and telling you how rich, you should be. Okay? I know that that's not it. I know that God wants certain things for you to discover. And most of the stuff that's coming out of our ministry is giving me the time and flexibility to spend 8 hours a day to really play with these ideas as they come and to use them so that when they do get taught, I'm not just throwing theories at you, although sometimes I do teach in real time and I throw theory out because I haven't proven it yet, but I tell you that. Okay, PTT, when I first put it out, came to me from God and I hadn't proven it yet. But a year later, when I put 0 Point out, it's because I spent a whole year doing it. Okay, so that's what I want to let you know, is that our ministry is like a research lab. All right, and what we try to do better than anyone else on the planet, this is our mission, is to help you achieve your goals by taking wisdom and making it into daily actionable things you do. All right, that's it for today.